Welcome to PVTV International. I'm going to present this week's editions of our news roundup. Cabinet News, Humanitarian Ceasefire call for acute relief efforts. The National Unity Government NUG has announced that its Allied Civil Disobedience Movement, CDM, professionals will collaborate with international humanitarian organizations to provide emergency rescues and medical aid to acute victims in area controlled by the military junta, provided security guarantees are in place. This was stated in a humanitarian ceasefire and emergency relief announcement released on March 29, to facilitate rescue operations for those trapped in collapsed buildings and workplaces due to the earthquake. The NUG Ministry of Defense and the People Defense Forces PDF will suspend all offensive operation for 2 weeks, starting from March 30, 2025, except the self-defense action. Additionally, the NUG has pledged to coordinate security, transportation, and the establishment of temporary medical relief centers in its controlled territory to support the efforts of UN Humanitarian Agency, international organizations, and NGOs in delivering emergency aid and medical assistance to the affected populations. The announcement also urges international humanitarian organizations to swiftly provide emergency rescues and medical assistance to earthquake victims. NUG mobilizes emergency response following powerful earthquake. The National Unity Government NUG held an emergency meeting on March 28 in response to the powerful earthquake, announcing that it is actively coordinating rescues and resettlement efforts in affected area. The government also reaffirmed its commitment to working alongside the public in rebuilding efforts immediately after the earthquake. The NUG convened the Emergency Management Committee and activated response procedures, instructing relevant ministry to swiftly carry out necessary operations. Current efforts include complying casualties and damage report, conducting rescue missions in affected regions, and facilitating resettlement and reconstruction initiative. The NUG has also called on community-based organizations and local residents in earthquake-hit areas to support one another. Expressing deep condolences for those affected, the government emphasized its solidarity with victims and their families. Additionally, reports indicate that Myanmar migrant workers were among those killed or injured when construction site collapsed in Thailand due to the earthquake. The 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck at 12:50 p.m. on March 28, with its epicenter located 16 km northwest of Sagaing at a depth of 10 km. The earthquake, classified as a shallow strike-slip event, impacted Bangladesh, India, Laos, Thailand, Myanmar, and China. A second significant 6.4 magnitude aftershock followed 12 minutes later, centered near the inward region, approximately 18 km south of Sagaing. The earthquake caused extensive damage in Sagaing and Mandalay region, including the collapse of religious and heritage structures, landslide, and destructions of roads and bridges. NUG Acting President praises leadership's direct engagement with the public. Acting President Duwale Sheila stated during a government meeting on March 25 that the Defense Ministry and other ministries are actively leading efforts on the ground alongside the public. The Defense Minister and other ministers are directly engaged with the people. Seeing these in actions fills me with great respect and pride. As our revolutionary forces strengthen their presence on the ground, public morale will naturally rise, he said. He emphasized that public trust is a fundamental pillar of the revolutionary movement, as the success of the revolution is directly tied to the competence, victions, and actions of its leader. He noted that public confidence must be earned through concrete actions. A movement has expanded to the point where traveling across liberated areas would take several days. On the ground, the situation has improved to the extent that the enemy is struggling to advance, he added. NUG calls for peaceful political dialogue between KIO, KIA, PSLF, and TNLA. The National Unity Government NUG stated on March 14 that most issues between the Kachin Independence Organization, Kachin Independence Army, KIO, KIA, and Palau State Liberation Front, the All National Liberation Army, PSLF, and TNLA could be resolved smoothly through direct negotiations. It reaffirmed its readiness to assist in peaceful political solution. The NUG warned that the military junta is attempting to create divisions among revolutionary groups and emphasized the importance of preventing recent clashes from escalating into ethnic tensions. It expressed confidence that the leadership of both groups could manage the situation responsibly. The statement welcomed recent announcement of upcoming high-level discussions between the two groups and consultations with the public, viewing them as positive step toward resolving key issue. NUG reiterated that revolutionary forces should prioritize public interest in overcoming challenges and advancing toward a federal democratic union. NUG emphasizes unity among ethnic groups in Spring Revolution. On March 27, the National Unity Government NUG issued a message for the 80th anniversary of Anti-Fascist Resistance Day, highlighting the solidarity among all ethnic groups in Myanmar Spring Revolution. The NUG stated that just as ethnic communities had united in the past to achieve victory through mutual trust and respect, they continue to stand together against the military junta today. It expressed confidence that collective efforts would lead to further victories and the establishment of a new federal army, one free from fascist influence and dedicated to protecting the people. The message also honors the sacrifices made by the ethnic groups throughout history in their resistance against fascist forces, reaffirming the NUG's commitment to remembering and respecting their contributions. NUG Prime Minister discusses government coordination and resource allocation. On March 28, NUG Prime Minister Myanmar emphasized the importance of efficient coordination and resource allocation among government departments during a meeting of the Central Committee of the Implementations of Interim Local Public Administration. He noted that as responsibility and powers increase, so do the potential challenges. To address these, department must work diligently and be able to take necessary action when required. The Prime Minister stressed that effective management and quick collaborated decision-making would be essential to overcoming challenges and ensuring the smooth functioning of the government. He also highlighted the ongoing discussions about the federal constitutions and the divisions of authority between the federal government and regional units, urging ministry to carefully plan how powers would be distributed. Additionally, the Prime Minister pointed out the need for departments to improve coordination, enhance resource management, and ensure they are prepared to work efficiently and collectively. NUG Prime Minister urges strong monitoring of gambling and drugs issue. On March 14, during a meeting of the Central Committee for the Implementations of Interim Local Public Administration, NUG Prime Minister Myanmar stressed the critical need for effective monitoring and control of gambling and drugs-related issue, which he described as obstacle to the revolution. He urged that any unfinished tasks from previous decisions and work processes be swiftly completed, emphasizing the importance of ensuring that gambling and drug issue are strictly regulated to avoid disrupting the revolution. The Prime Minister called for dedicated efforts to address these challenges and maintain discipline in this area. Ministry of Defense, NUG issued directive to cease offensive operations in acute affected areas. On March 29, the National Unity Government NUG and the Ministry of Defense issued a directive holding all offensive military operations except for defense activity in acute affected regions and related districts. The suspensions of military actions will last for 2 weeks from March 30 to April 12. The directive aimed to prioritize humanitarian aid efforts, enabling both domestic and international relief teams to provide the necessary assistance and protection. The NUG and Ministry of Defense also emphasized the need for coordination with rescue teams to ensure that the affected population receive critical support. NUG claims control over 75% of the Sagaing region, highlights military progress. On March 22, Union Minister for Defense Uyimon of the National Unity Government NUG shared a significant update during the introductions of the Kapoor Brotherhood campaign. He confirmed that the NUG now control up to 75% of the Sagaing region, marking a significant military gain. The ministry highlighted that while the NUG's control within the region was notable, this progress extends to areas across the country that were once weak in military operations but have since seen improvement. He referred to this as the first phase of their strategic goals. Additionally, the NUG reported several key achievements, including widespread support from the public, the establishment of the People Defense Force (PDF), and the control of the liberated territories by revolutionary forces. The NUG also confirmed that the PDF now fully controls the Godang district, including the towns of Gali and Jammu, with only small pockets of resistance remaining from the military junta. Currently, revolutionary forces have gained control of 94 towns across the country. NUG forces target enemy bases and vehicles, achieving significant strike. On March 27, the Ministry of Defense of the National Unity Government NUG reported successful attack on enemy bases and vehicles within the Operation Zone 2. On March 25, NUG forces engaged 2 military vehicles from the enemy advancing unit along Bokoku-Odon Highway in Baguio region. At approximately 10:20 p.m., the People Defense Force PDF in the region ambushed the convoy, destroying one of the vehicles and killing 7 enemy soldiers, while injuring around 12 others. Additionally, on March 26 at 1:10 a.m., PDF forces launched coordinated attacks on the enemy police station located along the Yangon-Mandalay Highway at mile 127 in Myanmar and mile 124 in Nayedo. The strike resulted in 1 enemy soldier being killed and 4 others severely wounded, while the PDF sustained no casualty during the engagement. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, NUG urges immediate international action amidst escalating civilian suffering. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the National Unity Government NUG issued a statement on March 19 calling for immediate and decisive international action in response to the severe suffering faced by the people of Myanmar under the military junta. The statement highlighted that while global attention remains focused on the Ukraine crisis, Myanmar's situation has worsened significantly, with ASEAN playing a critical role in addressing the escalating violence. It stressed that ASEAN, under its treaty obligation, is in a position to take meaningful action towards achieving long-term peace and stability in Myanmar. The NUG statement further condemned the junta's violent attacks, including airstrike on temples in northern Shan State and widespread destructions of villages across the country, which has forced civilians to flee their homes. Essential infrastructure such as school and hospital have been destroyed, leaving communities in dire distress. According to the Ministry of Human Rights, between 2023 and March 16, 2025, the junta carried out 2,190 airstrikes on civilians area, resulting in the deaths of 372 children. The ongoing attacks on civilian targets and the deaths of children have violated international human rights laws and breached the Geneva Convention, which protect children's rights to life, development, participation, and protection. NUG Foreign Minister meets Czech counterpart to discuss Myanmar democracy struggle. On March 27, Dozin Mao, Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the National Unity Government NUG, visited the Czech Republic and met with Czech Foreign Minister Jan Lipavsky to discuss the ongoing political situation in Myanmar. Minister Lipavsky expressed strong support for the people of Myanmar, stating that the Czech Republic stands firmly with them in their fight for freedom and democracy. The two ministers also discussed the continued support of the Czech Republic could provide to Myanmar's democracy movement, with the aim of further international assistance and cooperation in Myanmar's ongoing struggle for democratic reform. Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, strong earthquake strike in Myanmar causing fatalities and extensive damage. On March 28, the National Unity Government NUG Ministry of Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Management reported a powerful earthquake near the city of Chuibu in Sagaing region, Myanmar. The earthquake resulted in significant loss of life and widespread destruction. Areas such as Chuibu, Mandalay, Nebiro, Tangji, and Bago suffer fatalities and extensive damage. In Dawu, at the Wiluwen School, a building collapsed, killing 5 children, including a refugee child. Further casualties are still being investigated. The ministry also warned of aftershocks that could further damage, urging people to avoid tall buildings and structures that may collapse. In some areas, there are concerns about the risks of liquefaction, where lots of swine can turn into a liquid during an earthquake. The public is advised to remain cautious and evacuate if necessary. Ministry of Human Rights, Myanmar government fully supports UN Special Envoy's efforts. On March 22nd, the National Unity Government NUG of Myanmar expressed full support for the mandate of Mr. Tom Andrews, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Myanmar, following his March 17 Geneva press briefing. The NUG praised Mr. Andrews for his strong and supportive voice for the people of Myanmar, recognizing the effectiveness of his effort in addressing the humanitarian crisis. His recent report and briefing highlights the severe violations carried out by the military junta, calling for international sanctions on the junta financial and military access. Despite these measures, Mr. Andrews noted the continued lack of sufficient power to curb the junta's brutal action. The NUG emphasized that if the military junta's attack do not says the number of casualties could escalate dramatically. Furthermore, as of March 2025, an estimated 20 million people in Myanmar will need humanitarian assistance, and Myanmar remains in the country with the highest number of landmine victims globally. The report also criticized international decisions that fail to account for the long-term impact of aid cuts and strategic misstep. Mr. Andrew acknowledged the ongoing battlefield, losses of the military junta in its struggle against the resistant forces, calling for increased international support to strengthen democracy in Myanmar. The NUG reform is commitment to work with ethnic groups, youth and civil society and other democratic forces, urging UN member states to ally with the efforts to end violence and support the aspirations of Myanmar's people. In response to ongoing discussions on the draft resolutions, Myanmar government reiterated its commitment to publicly denounce the military junta's atrocities and urged the international community to continue condemning these actions. Ministry of Labour, Myanmar government to secure legal benefits for workers affected by powerful earthquake. On March 28, the National Unity Government NUG of Myanmar Ministry of Labour announced efforts to ensure that workers, both domestic and migrants, affected by the recent powerful earthquake would receive legal benefits and compensation for injuries and fatalities. The ministry expressed deep regret for the harm caused to both domestic and overseas workers due to the earthquake, emphasizing its commitment to provide all possible assistance. These include linking affected workers and with necessary support, ensuring they receive the rightful compensation for loss of life and injuries sustained during their work, and facilitating the legal benefit as per existing law. The government is also working to ensure the rehabilitations of these workers. The ministry further urged to the public, including workers, to support one another during this crisis. It also condemned the military junta for its brutal actions in areas like northern Shan State and Nangcho, where area bombings targeted civilians, causing further harm to the people already suffering from the natural disaster. Internal fragmentations of the junta forces in Nebiro. In Nebiro, internal fighting broke out between units of junta soldiers who were lodging in halters for the military parade on Anti-Fascist Resistance Day, referred to as Armed Forces Day by the junta. This reflects the growing disintegrations and fragmentations within the junta forces, with morals and unity declining, highlighting the unraveling of the military structures and command. NUG announces 2-week ceasefire for earthquake relief, calls for international support. The National Unity Government NUG has announced a 2-week suspension of military operations to facilitate humanitarian aid efforts in earthquake-affected area. The government stated that if security guarantees are provided in military-controlled city, civil servants' participation in civil disobedience movement, CDM will collaborate with international relief organizations to assist affected community. Additionally, the NUG has invited international organizations to support relief efforts in the area under its control following the 7.7 magnitude earthquake, which caused significant damage to religious sites, heritage buildings, and infrastructures in Mandalay regions and surrounding towns. The NUG criticized the junta's lack of resources for disaster relief. The statement noted that the military regime had previously diverted 400 billion just from the Natural Disaster Fund allocated under the National League for Democracy NLD government to military-related expenses. As a result, the junta now lacks the financial capacity to effectively respond to its crisis. Military Operations Summary for March 2025. Advancement of PDF. Other revolutionary forces. The People Defense Force PDF and military operations in Myanmar's southern regions have reached the Yangon-Mandalay Expressway, advancing to the Irrawaddy region, Lamna Township and Ingabu Township, and even reaching the Bogor regions and Padang Township. Additionally, the Argan Army has entered the Bogor region, intensifying the situation. Karen National Union strategic military gains. The Karen National Union KNU has successfully seized 2 military bases from the military junta that have been held for 36 years along the Thai-Myanmar border. In this attack, 12 soldiers were killed and 11 soldiers from the junta fled to Thailand. The KNU also captured military outposts in Bolakay area, further enhancing their control over the region. Counter-attacks by revolutionary forces in Mobye area. In Mobye area along the border of Shan State and Karenni State, the junta forces that launched heavy offensives were counter-attacked by the Revolutionary Allied Forces, resulting in the deaths of 1,500 soldiers and the captures of numerous weapons. Additionally, in the town of Bolake, Allied forces launched a concreted offensive with 3 different assault lines to decisively capture 3 remaining 100 military posts. During this action, many 100 soldiers, including officers, were killed and weapons were seized. As a result of this operation, the Honduras control in Karani state has significantly weakened, with their administrative machinery crumbling under pressures from the revolutionary forces' sustained attacks. Strategic attacks along the Yangon-Mandalay Expressway. On the Yangon-Mandalay Expressway, the revolutionary forces launched a series of attacks on key strategic points, including the Pinsi police station and military checkpoints along the Yangon-Pi road. Revolutionary fighters also struck the Meye and Nadun police station along the expressway. In the area surrounding Oakdun Township, revolutionary forces ambushed 100 military vehicles, including a convoy of cars and trains that were pursuing them along the old Yangon-Mandalay Highway. Furthermore, revolutionary forces in the southern military district conducted security checks along the region's roads, targeting Honduran outposts and hindering the enemy's operation. This action have dealt significant blows to the Honduras operations and have enabled Allied forces to seize control of critical transport routes, weakening the Honduras logistical capabilities and effectively disrupting their communications line. In the area surrounded Taungok and Badang Township in Bago region, heavy clashes erupted between Arkan Army AA and the Honduran forces, specifically between the Nyangjo and Nyangjarao military bases. The military bases in Okshibin town retaliated with heavy artillery and area bombing. The Honduran Air Force mistakenly bombed in its own forces during the battle at Nyangjo, resulting in the deaths of over 120 Honduran soldiers and leading to the disarray and retreat of their troops. Arkan Army's offenses in the Irrawaddy region. Furthermore, starting from early March, the Arkan Army launched attacks in the Irrawaddy region, particularly near Lemina Township, prompting the Honduras to prepare for a stronghold at the historic Tubayong Pagoda, located to the west of the Ngawan River. The locals, fearing the escalating violence, began fleeing to safer areas. Clashes also took place near areas such as Ingabut Township, Guangao District, and near Chapangong, Tambeyagong, and the Zone villages, forcing local residents to seek refuge from the ongoing fighting. As a result, the Honduras control in both the Irrawaddy and Bago region has visibly weakened, and the revolutionary forces' coordinated attacks indicate that their reach may soon stretch across eastern and western parts of Myanmar, bringing them closer to cutting through the heartland of the country. Let's see what do we have for our weekly roundup news in coming weeks. Thanks for watching PVTV International.